Oh.
This intro song is dedicated to the Blacc Don.
Uh-huh.
Welcome world, welcome world. Episode 101.
101. It's elementary.
Fuck 'em.
King of hip hop.
Shout out to the GOAT, Drizzy.
Your
According to
favorite rapper.
According to who?
Ooh.
The beat is dope. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I never heard this.
Who's on the production? Burnz.
40, I would assume. It's normally 40.
Shout out to 40. Even if he's not on the production.
Who wrote this nigga's
Shout out to
lyrics?
40.
And
Burnz.
And Burnz?
Oh, okay. Alright. Shout out to you.
Pass that check.
Shit, right.
Break.
Chill.
The girls are natural. Shout out Big Bludshot in the studio.
In the
True
studio.
already.
Straight
Shout out to
waves.
Blacc Don in the studio.
Right.
Glad to be here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, of course.
This
of course.
is the first time we've all been in studio.
Yes,
The
sir.
four brothers.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
wow.
This is
Big
a groundbreaking moment.
Yes,
It
sir.
only took 101 episodes.
Exactly.
Finally, 100 episodes later, right?
And wait till episode 300. Welcome world, welcome world.
Chill.
I am the brother Burnz. As always, to the left of me, I got the brother VS.
VS to the OP, you know what it be, man. Repping that LBE, sporting that MDMA all day.
Special occasion and cheers. We got Big Bludshot in studio.
Chill.
International, baby. Live in New Jungle today.
Welcome, my bro.
Word.
Word up. Happy to have you here.
Man, happy to have you here, my brother. And we got the Blacc Don in studio today.
Blackest of all dons. Get it right before you get it wrong.
Tell them. Episode 101. Shout out to everybody who sent love on the 100th episode. Shout out to everybody who sent us the video shout outs. The brother YP,
True.
the brother Game Over,
Absolutely.
DJ Beans,
Chill.
Crisis, TDI Music,
Shoddy.
the brother Shoddy.
Killer Range.
Killer.
The brother
Killer.
Killer. Shout out to Killer Season and shout out
Petey.
to Coquitos by Range. Shout out to Chef Petey. Shout out to my security team, my boy Henrock. He had me. He held me down last night. You know, there was haters around me.
We had security wars last night.
Yes, sir. You
I had
know,
my security team, my security detail.
that fool was drunk.
Who won? Who won? He got dropped.
Psycho Sid
got dropped?
in the building.
His security's on the left side of the room drinking 40s and shit. My security's on the right side lifting 80-pound
iron.
dumbbells with one arm and
Word,
shit.
yeah, that
My
nigga's
man
a
Jay
beast.
Twin.
We was working out, you know.
Much
He
love.
lives.
Psycho Sid.
I hype him.
You hype him up. You the hype man.
Nah, but my security will snap in a minute. So.
Yeah, he'll kill you too, though.
He kill everybody.
Shouts to Jay, man. Shouts to
Shout out to
Henrock.
Jay Twin, yes.
Word.
Shout out
Shout
to
out to
Henrock. Shout out to the
Love.
brother Dre.
Shout out to me because we
Henrock.
were out for my
True that.
birthday. and
Absolutely,
shit.
happy
True that.
belated.
Happy
You know what I'm
belated.
saying?
Born God.
And the beautiful restaurant. Shout out
Yeah,
to them.
man. Shouts to them.
Shout out to the good people at soul_scrub_ get your beard bombs, get your beard shampoos, get your body butters, get your creams and your lotions.
Get all lathered up.
And if you're really body, you can schedule a facial. And
Not that
get,
kind
you
of
know,
facial fool.
Hey, yup.
Not that kind.
Not that.
The dermatologist esthetician kind.
Not the happy
Get your
ending
pores clean, get your beard cleaned up, get all that good stuff. Summer's coming. You want to be top of the line, pristine, beautiful.
You want to shine.
Yeah.
Word up. You know, I kind of need that stuff myself, you know.
I wasn't
Too
gonna
many
say
blunts.
it, but I can plug you in.
Too rough. Too
I'll
rough.
get you a discount.
Say less.
Shout out to the good people at Lunabright_whitening. While you get your face cleaned up, get your teeth cleaned up too. Get them pearly whites popping, them smiles. It's about to be sunny. Masks is off, so the uglies
sir.
back out. You know what I mean?
Get
So
your
get your
grill
face
right.
right, get your grill right, get your teeth right,
That's right.
and come back strong for the 2022 post-COVID, because COVID is over.
Facts.
Thank God.
It's wartime. COVID is done.
Yeah.
And
now-
real
now it's
quickly,
time for-
shout out to the bro, the real Habibi 201. He recently lost his pop, so rest in peace to that. Love and prayers to him and his family.
RIP.
Word.
He sent some love for the 100th episode, so shout out to that and shout out to him.
Praise up.
Now, we're here today to discuss cruise, and we're gonna get into a theoretical question, which would be if you could select one crew from any time period that you would like to be a part of, what crew would it be? And we're going to get to that, but real quick before we get to that, I want to talk the current situation and the controversy surrounding Slaughterhouse.
Ooh.
And the new album that dropped this week is called The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse. It's by Crooked I and it's by Joel. It's not featuring Royce.
Say word.
It's not featuring Joe Budden. And they kind of got like a little back and forth going on.
Yeah, they were on
They had
live.
a little bit of a live session.
Y'all
Real
seen-
quick, thumbs down to all these blogs that report news inaccurately.
Okay.
They had a live session, and during the live session, Joel Ortiz and Joe Budden kind of had a little back and forth. And Joel Ortiz was like, if you feel okay with the album, promote it. Tell people to listen to it.
Right.
And Joe Budden responded, that album can suck my dick.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
To which Joel Ortiz responded, well, you can suck my dick.
Yeah, and that
But-
comment.
Shit.
But the
cost you.
blogs,
He basically threatened him, yeah.
the blogs reported that Joe Budden said, Joel Ortiz, you can suck my dick, which was
Yeah,
incorrect. He
yeah.
said that album can suck my
Yeah,
dick.
and he wouldn't participate in that clown show.
Right.
Which is foul, yo.
So the theory is that he didn't want to record anymore under Shady.
Right, Budden.
Budden.
You're referring to.
Correct.
Okay.
So maybe around last year, Shady let these guys go. They actually gave them back their masters, even to the album that never came out, the Glass House album.
Right.
So they're free, and Joe Budden claims retirement, but he also claims he'll reunite with the crew. And then Crooked I brought an offer from a label or from an investor or someone
Yeah.
that Joe Budden doesn't necessarily agree with their business practices. So he didn't want to get down with that deal either. Okay. And then Crooked and Joel kind of asked Royce to be a part of a 3-man album, and he refused, stating that, if it's not the 4 of us, it's none of us.
Exactly, right.
So then they went on to put out this 2-man album. Now, they had put out an album about a year ago together called Hard, and it had nothing to do with Slaughterhouse, The Rise and the Fall. So this album, it seems like they're kind of trying to create some controversy and then profit from the controversy, and at the same time kind of like beef with their brothers.
I don't know, like to me,
it seems all fucked up, man, and I don't really like what's going on. As a big Slaughterhouse fan,
me too.
And for those that don't know, Slaughterhouse is a very important factor in this show.
Oh, yeah.
If y'all remember, the Slaughterhouse versus D-Block debate was very instrumental in us
building this podcast,
creating this.
Yeah.
So I fuck with Slaughterhouse a lot from the beginning.
Yeah, me too.
And now I don't like what's going on. So I want to know how y'all feel about it.
Like we were talking about it off air and shit. As much as I don't like Joe Budden, I do like the fact that he was honest. You know what I'm saying? In the whole thing, the whole situation on the live and shit. He was honest and he was true to himself. He was true to his narcissistic self, you know what I'm saying? Which, fuck it. That's who you are and shit. That's the way you're built. You know what I mean? As far as beefing with your brothers, that shit is whack. Like, y'all gotta do that behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't like to do that shit with y'all over social media and shit like that. To me, that shit is whack. Like, we don't come from that. You know what I'm saying? And I know they don't come from that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, but it's true, like you said, it's probably to drum up sales and shit. For the new album and shit.
But that's corny, though.
I just question what their relationship really is at the end of the day. If they really are, they consider themselves brothers in that shape.
Have you even listened to the song? The song that they came out with, the single that
they're dissing? No, I haven't heard it.
He actually, Joel says it. He's like, yeah, everybody would think that we were the closest, you know what I'm saying? On stage, we were the closest and shit. But after the tour, everybody went their separate
but there you go,
But remember that they're also not like childhood friends.
And they're
not industry friends.
They're not from the same area.
It's not an organic crew.
After a tour, normally everybody goes home.
Yeah,
it just so happens that one went to Cali and one went to Detroit.
Yeah, the other two went to Brooklyn.
And
they were a super team that was put together.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they were just put together. They weren't brought up and came up from, way back when and shit.
They weren't put together. They actually came together because they came together on on a
song.
Joe Budden feature.
Okay.
And then they decided to work together. Like, yo, we like what we do. Y'all like what you do.
The
Blah, blah, blah.
chemistry.
The chemistry was dope. And from there on, Slaughterhouse was formed. and
Cool,
shit.
but it's nothing like us that
It's
we
not
grew
like
up
they-
together. You know, much different.
Oh yeah, that's
know what
way
I'm saying?
different. Yeah, that's way different. I'm just saying, like, they weren't. It's not like a label put them together. And shit. They actually came together.
As good as MCs that I found each individual, one of them to be, I never found the crew to be something that I was like, oh, this crew is I fucks with them. You know what I'm saying? And there was never a single that I heard that I was like, Slaughterhouse. It was more like, all right, they got tracks, they got individual tracks, they got group tracks. Okay, it's dope for hip hop, but I never found them to be something that was extra special. And I also question Joe Budden not being involved because maybe he's making too much money on the podcast, so he's probably like, I don't need this right now.
Well,
Possibly.
he kind of said that during the live. He kind of told Joel, he's like, what was it that Joel said? And Budden was like, no, anything that I'm doing is way more important than doing. Like, I'm better than whatever you're doing. You know what I'm saying? He kind of. That's what I kind of.
You're wording it wrong. But
yeah,
he
but it was kinda
basically
something
said
similar.
whatever I'm doing is bigger than
Yeah,
whatever
that's
y'all
it.
doing.
That's what it was.
And
yeah.
if we're speaking honestly, he's telling the truth.
No, he is.
Yeah,
He's
he is.
absolutely.
He-
Yeah,
He is a way bigger public figure than Joel or Crooked, or even Joel and Crooked combined.
Yeah.
But he's being narcissistic at the same time
That's what I
because
said. That's what I
it's like I was saying yesterday. I was talking about NBA contracts and you forgetting the people that brought you up, right? So yeah, Joe Budden, you're doing great for yourself, but maybe your brothers need an album so they can eat. So why not be involved with it?
Another factor is that they wanted to do this album a year ago.
Okay.
And at the time they wanted to do the album, Joe Budden was kind of going through a gang of shit with his podcast falling apart, with his host leaving, with his family falling apart. So maybe it wasn't the right time for him. And also, these guys are solo artists. They shouldn't need Joe Budden to further their career. The group thing they did, because they came together and they formed a group. But before that, they were solo artists for many, many years. Yeah. And even after the group, they did the Hard album together.
Right.
Joel branched off and did the album with Bodega and Nitty Scott. Shout out to Nitty Scott. Shout out to Bodega.
That album was dope.
Crooked went and did a bunch of solo projects, and he did this shit with I think Horseshoe Gang or something.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily have to rely on Joe Budden.
They don't.
Let me be brutally honest and say I'm 100% biased towards Joe Budden, so I'm going to always land on his side.
Yeah.
What? But I don't like it. I don't like what's going on. It's also they could have did something with Royce under a different name.
True.
It could have
Like
been
the three of them.
Yeah, the three the hard way or something, or the three musketeers, whatever the fuck.
Something, yeah.
But they want to keep fucking with his name.
Slaughterhouse.
And that name is 25% each of them.
owned by each of them.
So
right.
Joe Budden has a fair point. He
has a fair. He has, like I said,
he comes off narcissistic because of his tone and his choice of words.
Yeah.
And also, he's narcissistic. Let's be honest.
Absolutely is. Yeah,
I'm not blind either.
It might be bigger than that though. Like again, going back to the fact that they are individual rappers. They can make money, but they probably can't make as much money if they are together as the Slaughterhouse under the Slaughterhouse banner. Going back to Nitty Scott and Bodega Bands with Joel, I kind of like that crew better. I think Joel Ortiz meshes better with them than he does in Slaughterhouse.
That's a dope crew.
But
you got to remember too, Slaughterhouse. They
No?
They never had like a producer per se. They fucked with random producers.
Got to see the mesh somehow a little bit better.
They didn't have a specific producer. Like even the group No Panty, Bodega, Joel, and Nitty Scott. Shout out to Nitty Scott.
It was
they had a producer that did the whole project.
Salah Remy produced
so
the whole shit.
I can get why people didn't like Slaughterhouse because the production was never top tier.
No,
and when they went to a major,
whoa, time out. The production was actually exceptional in my opinion. Like they had Alchemist, they had Alchemist, they had Premier. You know what I'm saying?
This is on the major label release.
Yeah.
But you got to also remember that major label release was fucking heavy Eminem influence.
That's what I was going to say. They needed more influence from Eminem.
He even took Joe Budden off the intro and put a verse himself, if you recall.
No,
and
I'm talking about the first Slaughterhouse
album.
Fucked up. The first Slaughterhouse album.
The independent album.
Was it the independent one? Oh, yeah, that wasn't on Shady. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're right. That one wasn't on Shady.
So
no, but even on that album, they had dope production.
But not consistent.
Yeah, there wasn't a consistent theme throughout the album. Absolutely, you're absolutely
I
right.
think
about
that would have benefited them more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also,
it was just. I'll be honest. On that album, it was just them showing off how dope they are.
Yeah, they were never put together to be a commercial success.
Yeah,
it was just four niggas that could rapping their fucking asses off and competing of who could rap the best on this particular beat.
Yeah. And it sounded dope though. I ain't gonna lie.
It did. Again, I was a big fan.
I like that first. I don't know if you.
I know y'all were big fans. We always talk about it, but again, like. There was really never a breakthrough single that I could be like, okay, Slaughterhouse, let's go. You feel me? That I could remember.
Right.
And then just again going back to Joe Budden real quick. I kind of agree with him. Yeah, maybe fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all trying to diss us, because we're not involved. I really
you want me to promote it?
Yeah, I really don't know what's going on with Royce.
That's
but
the other thing.
Sometimes I get from Joe Budden is that not that he's greedy, but just going back to that narcissistic statement that he just sometimes is too much for himself. Like even with what happened with the podcast, you know what I'm saying, with them cats that he was down with.
You know what I think? I'll be honest. This is what I think it is. And I'm no psychologist or nothing like that, but he's been fucked so much in the industry that he's not going to get fucked again. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be doing the fucking now.
Hey, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what I believe it is, in my opinion. And aside from the fact that he is highly narcissistic.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
No. I'm not saying that. That's his
People
personality.
say
That's who he is.
narcissistic.
That's like I said. That's the way he's built, and that's the way he is.
Negative connotation.
No. Exactly. Yeah.
Believe in yourself. Be confident.
No, absolutely, and that's what I think it is. He's been fucked in the industry before, and he's not getting fucked again. Now he's the one doing the fucking.
But also, I believe that you shouldn't always, stand. Try to stand on that. The fact that hey, nobody's gonna fuck me over, and then. Burn bridges or relationships, with people that, were your friends at one point.
When it was that at the beginning, when it was that like, it was friendships over the business, you got fucked. So, you know what I'm saying? He was like, you know what? I'm not doing that no more. Now it's me. It's about me and it's my business. And I just got to make sure I thrive.
It's very understandable.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
if you either with it or you not. You either with it or you against it. That's the way it is, and I understand.
If he has the kind of platform and the fan base that he does, what's wrong with him plugging the album for his boys?
They're dissing him on the album.
They're dissing him. They're literally going at. They talk about it.
Would you promote an album if
that's
me shitting on you?
Yeah. Would you promote a Burnz album that's talking about
the Blacc Stain album or something?
Exactly.
My bad.
The Blacc Stain.
Yeah, like you're not gonna go promote it, my
exactly.
nigga.
You got the stain, though. You got the stain.
Right.
But they probably are being heavily promoted from this negative shit,
absolutely. But again, that might have been their intention to create this controversy, and let that be the rollout for the album. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this is happening, but they'd be super genius if they got a Slaughterhouse album in the tuck that they're gonna put out, and they're all involved, and this whole rollout,
right,
draws attention artificial.
To it. Yeah.
Although I think fans will look at them funky if that happened.
Yeah,
but to kind of go back, let me propose a question to y'all. How would y'all feel if 4 members of the Wu-Tang Clan dropped an album under Wu-Tang Clan?
And diss the other members?
Not even diss the other members, but just a new Wu-Tang album, but it's only us 4. Because I think that's part of the issue
that's
with
happened
this.
Already.
But not as Wu-Tang Clan.
Not as Wu-Tang, but it was Wu affiliated. Like it had everything to do with the Wu.
Like they came up with a name. You're talking about Wu Massacre?
Yeah. It was even called Wu Massacre.
That's different than Wu-Tang Clan.
Still, it's like the same thing, but under a different name.
But they're part of Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay, but I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Will RZA be involved?
No, just say the Jizza, I don't know, You God, Raekwon, and Inspector Deck.
Yeah.
Said we're gonna put out an album.
Yeah.
But it's the Wu-Tang Clan.
I'll listen to it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Y'all wouldn't find that weird?
It would be kind of weird at first.
It would be strange.
Do you think the other members would have a right to get upset?
It depends. It depends if the members that are creating the album reached out and they were like, "Nah, we're good," and then they actually do it. You can't get mad at that.
Right.
You said no.
What if?
Very true.
What if
Good point.
the other members own a percentage of that brand, that name, Wu-Tang Clan?
They're gonna eat off that.
Yeah.
So where's
What if they're not?
Contractual though. If it's contractual, then they're gonna eat, like he just said.
Well, why not be involved? So then that's the whole thing. Like, yeah.
So
like,
that's the thing with Slaughterhouse. Like, why did they have to put out an album, The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse, when they've already put out an album together and had nothing to do with Slaughterhouse?
Right.
Like, I don't like.
It's like we said.
What they're doing.
It's like a rollout. This is the rollout where we're gonna shit on Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, it's not cool though.
Yeah,
it's not cool. That's like.
Yeah.
That's like if I retire and. Well, no, because I would retire and I would give y'all the blessing if y'all were to come out with a podcast later and call it the Gahhd Cast. Like, you would have a blessing to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
because we're brothers. That goes back to that.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't go back to like, hey, we just met. We're gonna put together this podcast. Like, you know, you wouldn't have a spinoff of the Gahhd Cast with 3 other cats and then make it big and then give them the blessing. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't grow up with them niggas. You grew up with us. You feel me?
We're gonna get paid.
We always trying to get paid.
I mean, me and my 3 new homies.
Right.
It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm just saying but once you retire from that one, you would not give them the blessing.
No, exactly.
Yeah, you would not give them the blessing. So, you know, fuck them niggas.
No, but I'll still whoop their ass, all 3 of them.
I'll get a bootleg more diesel white boy.
Nah, I still
Sauce
fuck
Boys.
him up. I'll catch him with a bat. Yo, you crazy.
We get Psycho Sid.
I'll fuck him up. Yo.
Get Henny on a 10-day contract.
Oh, y'all can't steal my security, bro. Shout out to my security, man. All right, so fuck Slaughterhouse. Shout out to Joe Budden.
Hey.
Let's move on to Cruise and the theoretical proposition of if you could select one crew, regardless of time period or whatever, to be a part of, what crew would you select? So we each selected a crew, and each of us selected a different crew. So we can go around the table and name who we selected, and then we can kind of get into why we selected them. And I'm gonna shit on a couple of y'all's decisions because of the business of music, and what these groups did or didn't.
Turned out to be, yeah. Right.
All right, so who wants to go first?
Go ahead, we'll go this way.
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
All right. If I could be down with a crew in no specific time frame in hip hop, I would absolutely. There's a couple of picks that I was thinking about, but I would absolutely, hands down, go with you. You brought them up. Ability of any other crew that I can think of, you know, in terms of their crescendo, like their peak,
like the
level
level,
like
the
when you're talking about like their best songs of all time, when you compare it to other crews, I think that they eclipse any other crew. You know, they have those classics that I can be like, woo. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
What would have been your Wu-Tang name?
Word.
Ooh. Bloodshot.
Oh, okay.
Groundbreaking.
Word up.
Okay, now I have some opposition to your selection, but we're gonna come back to that.
Sure.
Let's go to Blacc and see what floor of Biggie's house he selected.
Because we all know it's Biggie related.
Would have been the first floor without a doubt. Don't have to think twice about it. The commission.
The ground floor, the commission.
Yes, sir. Without a doubt.
All right, excellent choice.
Then they go to his floor to fuck some more.
The commission. For one, unfortunately, you know, we didn't get to see it happen, right? So that kind of left a big fucking craving taste in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Pause. But look at everybody that was lined up to be part of the commission. Of course, Biggie, Jay. They even had Charlie Baltimore, who I happen to like a lot as an MC. Just hearing her first album that never came out, but I was able to hear the album, loved it.
I'll co-sign that statement.
Yeah, it would have been dope.
Cold as Ice, I think, was the name of the album.
Yes, and the album was
odd
fucking
title.
bananas.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the name of Vanilla Ice's album?
No, the movie.
The movie, right?
Yeah, the movie.
All right.
You remember that shit, white boy ass.
Hell yeah.
Ding, ding, ding,
He
ding,
would.
ding,
Let me
ding.
hide my DVD.
Nah, but let
All
me
right.
ask you this real quick. Let me ask you this. How would you feel that if the commission would come out and they were successful, how would you feel if Junior Mafia dissed you? Because they were going to diss you. You know Kim was going to diss the commission.
Right, she would have.
Because she wasn't part of it.
Right.
Yeah, but Junior Mafia not fucking with the commission.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Junior Mafia without Biggie is based, and without Little C's, because C's was in the commission too.
Little C's was down.
Yes.
Right.
Caesar Leo.
So it would have been just Kim and
Nino.
Nino,
Nino
who
man.
had no verses, and the light skinned guy. Well, I don't even
Branson.
remember his name. Black, let me ask you this question:
Uh-huh.
What would be your position in the commission?
Word.
Are you rapping? Are you producing?
No,
Are you,
good question.
I would have been executive producer.
executive.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, so you're just gonna
Because I can't
knock
rap to save
Puff
my
Daddy
life.
out the box.
I can't rap to save my life. I've tried it, guys, but it just wasn't meant for me. You know?
Oh, we heard it.
Yeah. And I'm sure all three
I
could
fucks with
co-sign.
it though.
Yeah,
I fucks with it. Got that little John
I
style.
wish I could find the tape.
Yo, you ever seen that Twitter video where it's a Haitian dude down in Florida rapping, and he starts rapping and goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never seen that.
That's this guy right here.
My man Sock Passe.
Shit, the Sherlins, the Nikes, Adidas, and the
And the
Puma.
Puma.
How cool I
That's
am.
right. Cooler than ice. Nah, like hammer. All right, that's dope. Though you'd EP the crew, I suppose, for an album or two or three.
You know what? If we could speak on reality for the commission, I don't know that Diddy would have been the one to have that title for the crew, to be honest. And the reason why is because I don't know that Jay-Z would have allowed that.
Well, I think Diddy was actually part of the crew as a rapper.
Okay,
Right.
but yeah, not as
So I don't know who would have EP'd it or
Right.
who would have been the
Damn, that's
executive.
interesting.
Because remember, there,
Damn.
you know, Biggie's Bad Boys,
Right.
Puff, Jay's Rock,
Rock,
Dane,
right.
Yeah.
Charlie was
Un.
right,
Yeah.
which
Un.
ties back into Big.
So
though.
who would have actually gotten the EP role?
Yeah, that
Unless they would have, you know,
Maybe
Diddy
Biggie would have got the EP.
Diddy would
role.
have strung on that.
You know what I feel?
Nah, 'cause
That
Biggie was a big personality, bro.
with Jay being independent, how he was, I think he would have actually had a bigger hand in that, guys. You
think
know,
that
as
was
far
well.
as far as the
I think
credits
that
and
was-
it's
Yeah,
possible
damn.
because
You
they
know?
weren't on a label either. I think that also depends too. What label would have put it out?
Right.
That would have.
yeah, that would have been interesting too.
Factored into
Would
True
have
that.
probably been their own label.
The only commission song
The
we ever
baby
got
would
was
come
on a Bad Boy label. So
True.
All right, so let's. And I do have some knocks to that selection. Okay.
Same here because.
But wait,
I'll
let's
get
save it
into
because we're gonna
All
get
right.
back around. Let's go to White Boy now to see what his selection.
yeah, I would pick the Terror Squad.
That's a super surprising selection.
I was gonna
Like
say,
I ain't even think.
Especially for you.
Word.
you know why?
I would have
'Cause
thought you
Pun,
would have picked
I love
Jigging
Pun,
in the
man.
Crates.
I love Pun. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I trust me. There's another crew that I probably would have gone with. I probably would have gone with the Firm if not.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, that would have. Okay, I dig
You
that.
know what I mean?
dig
But
that.
We'll
because
get
Nas-
into that.
because
We'll get
Nas-
into backup crews.
Because Nas is my favorite rapper, you know what
Mm.
I'm saying? But Pun was to me so exceptional, and I would fucking die to work with him, yo.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and on top of that, yo, you had mad fun with Pun, B. You know he was mad fun, so you know what I'm saying? Like, everything would be every day would be fucking,
Yeah, laughing.
you know
Laughter.
what I'm saying? It would be dope every day and shit. Hang out, make beats, fucking rap, and you would get to learn from one of the best. You know what I'm saying? If you don't learn from him, then you fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But learn what though? Because you know,
From Pun?
yeah, not the ruffle any feathers, but you know, with the situation with Fat Joe and publishing and all that, what are you really learning from Pun? If Pun was getting jerked, DK,
That's my problem with this entire selection.
you feel me?
Yeah.
So what really are you learning from that man?
Well, at least as far as
Music.
yeah, musically, I would learn from him. That's
Mm.
what I'm saying. And then other than that, I would learn from Joe how to fucking get over it. Fuck that.
Sound right
but
here.
you would be learning the hard way,
Possibly.
which is my issue with that.
True. You know what? I said it. Because I solely based it off the Pun selection.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You know, I
So
really.
just jock and punt.
Rest in peace.
Y'all some haters. You know what I mean?
We'll get into it.
So
We'll get
anyway,
into
yeah,
it.
go ahead. So what about
but I
you?
definitely have knocks on that selection,
Yeah,
and
go
a
ahead.
major knock is Fat Joe and his
Business
executive,
practices? His business
robbery
practices, yeah.
history. I would assign to Rockefeller,
Yeah.
and basically the reason is simple: they have the best track record for their artists having success.
Yeah.
You don't hear. I've never heard of anyone say they were on Rockefeller and they didn't get paid, or they didn't get their royalties, or they didn't get an opportunity to do something outside of music.
Yeah.
Although this guy is shitting on Jigga, what's his name? Oshino?
Pete Crack. Oh, Oshino. All them niggas.
Oshino?
All them Philly cats.
Yeah.
Beanie.
But Oskino was
State
never
Property.
signed to Rockefeller. He was signed to State Property.
State property, right?
Yeah.
Then to Rockefeller. So if he got jerked, I would more so blame it on Beans than Jay.
Actually,
but
Beans was on the new Conway album. You heard it?
on the new Conway album. Yeah, I did actually. Yes.
Yeah.
That is his major label debut on Shady.
Yeah.
And it might be his last album on Shady. Shady doesn't have a good reputation for artists.
Development.
Treatment, development, success.
Except
That's
for
why I like
50,
Rockefeller.
probably.
Rockefeller, out of all these four crews that have been named, is the only crew that birthed a billionaire. Two.
True.
So they birthed Jay and they birthed Ye.
Yeah.
But their individual success is what contributed to that. It wasn't the label.
But they would have gotten. They started at the label.
Yeah.
But they would have succeeded no matter what, is what I want to say. Jay and Kanye,
You can't prove that.
Yeah.
they may have not been as big, but they would have succeeded nonetheless because Jay and Kanye are different species than anybody else that has
But think
been
about
named.
this. All right. Think about
But
this.
that's
though.
theoretic.
All right. Yeah.
It
exactly,
is
because-
theoretical, but I'll say this. They've
I
gotten
don't
into
100%
different businesses.
disagree with you because
Yeah.
it's hard to keep a genius down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the label gave them a good springboard.
Of course,
It did.
and a good a business.
And it's not guaranteed that any other
outline.
label would have given them the
But
same
I'll
springboard.
say
Yeah,
this though.
very
I'll
true.
say this: if he signed to another label, if not, I'm talking about Kanye. If
Yeah.
Kanye would have signed to another label, if not Rockefeller.
Let's say Raucus, because
Okay.
he was rumored.
Yeah, we were talking
It was
about that
rumored
last
about Raucus
episode,
or
I
whatever.
think.
Or let's say he would have signed to Raucus, they would have never been or Watch the Throne. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like,
You know
what I mean? Like-
but what I want to say is, I'm wearing Yeezys right now. You know what I'm saying? So eventually, he would have found a different way to penetrate the machine. Pause.
But a big part of that was his musical success.
Of course,
and I don't think
yes.
he would have achieved the same success on a Raucus as he
Okay.
did on a Rockefeller.
I
That's
agree.
what I'm trying
But
to
you
get
know
at.
what? One thing that the three of y'all haven't brought up yet, to my surprise, for Jay-Z's success as well as Kanye's, who's the man behind them that helped push them out there?
well,
Dame
initially it
Dash.
was
Dame
Dame.
Dash,
Of
exactly.
course,
And that's why
that's
Dame
why
gets
shout out to
the right.
Dame.
That's why
No,
Dame
Dame
gets
Dash,
all
shout out to
respect
Dame.
and
Of
props
course.
from me because let's be honest, Dame is the one that believed in Ye.
Absolutely.
It,
And
it's
in-
been out
and in
there.
Jay.
Now, Jay did not believe in him. It was
No,
it was
but
he
Dame
believed in
also
Jay.
believed in Jay.
Right, but it
when,
was Dame, the
when
one
they
that-
couldn't get a deal anyway.
Yeah.
Right,
You know
right.
what
But
I
it
mean?
was Dame the one that went and pushed Ye because
Absolutely.
it's been told that Jay really wasn't believing. Kid.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
You're right.
Nobody
right.
did.
And
Except-
also-
And
except
even Dame to a point was like, yeah, we'll put out your album. We're gonna put Cam on every
Yeah.
song to rap.
Yeah.
But
if
we'll
it
put
fails,
out.
like we'll just
Right.
take all your beats.
Yeah.
And shit.
And also Dame's fuck the man attitude probably gave them that, that bravado to be able to,
And he had to have liked they're two peas in a pod,
Yeah.
Dame and Ye. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're, braggadocious.
yeah,
Not
they
only
are,
that,
yeah.
They won't take no for an answer.
Anti-establishment,
Independent.
Jay-Z too. Jay-Z too.
Yeah. Jay's calmer though. Than a Ye and a Dame.
But he's,
Like,
he's
these
more
niggas will
calculated.
fucking-
Yeah, he's more calculated.
When Dame went in that Def Jam office and yelled at them
Yeah.
niggas, like, yo, how y'all having a Jay-Z meeting without me? Like,
Yeah.
that's dope. That's
Yes,
why I
of
love
course,
Dame. That's
of
why I would have
course.
loved to sign a Rockefeller.
Of
Yeah.
course,
No,
man.
absolutely. I thought Rockefeller, but it was just too easy, man. It was too easy. There's too many people on Rockefeller that succeeded.
But that's the point. Don't you want to succeed?
No, of course. But that's in terms of this pick. I wanted to be a little bit out of the box.
That's my issue with your Wu-Tang pick. Out of Wu-Tang, if we're being honest, out of the 9 original members, 4, 5 succeeded, and the rest had mediocre careers.
Man, but Five
When
is
not in the group.
but Five is insane.
It's a good percentage.
5 superstars.
But what if
from
you're
one crew?
one of the not 5?
No, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
But same
and
with
this is no
Rockefeller.
diss, but like a You God,
Yeah.
a Master Killer,
Right.
Capadonna had more success than them too, but even
Yeah.
Capadonna to an extent.
Right.
Even the Jizza to an extent.
Nah, the Jizza, he's doing some other shit.
Yeah, but I mean, musically under the Wu-Tang label, they didn't achieve the success of
Musically,
Mac.
no,
Liquid
right.
Swords went gold
Ray.
at the time, which was big.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that was
So he
success in
had
itself.
success,
Right. Of his
but he
success.
didn't reach Raekwon levels,
Right.
or Ghostface
Right.
levels, or
Right.
Method Man levels, or RZA levels.
But therefore, why I said I wanted to think outside the box and pick a crew that was successful, whether mildly or whatever. But there's other contributing factors to why I picked them. The Rock was too easy for me because, of course, I would sign with who would not sign with The Rock? Like I was gonna say, even somebody like an outside branch of one of the crews is still doing it. Jim Jones to this day, like he was part of Dipset, and it's that The Rock will never that
the
team will
ripples
never
of
be
the Rock
exactly
continue
exactly
till today.
exactly.
Yeah, but even with The Rock, if we're gonna compare it to the Wu, they might have had maybe 5 people success from there.
But
so
out
what
of
are we
how
really
many?
saying?
But at what
What's
level?
the
Out of
percentage?
maybe 12 or fucking 15. They signed all them cats.
Let's
we were just
see.
talking about Moschino, Sparks, Petey Crack.
yeah.
And I'm talking about cats that really
though.
weren't.
I wouldn't consider them signed to the Rock direct. They were. Signed
all
to
got rock
State
chains.
Prop. Yeah, they all got rock chains because they was giving out rock chains like a motherfucker at that time, bro.
I consider them The Rock because if I think about
you get a
them,
rock chain?
I'm thinking about The Rock.
Yeah. I mean, we could say that. Yeah, we could say
But
that.
I would have if I would have been signed.
And you know what? One cat that I like.
But they never put out solo albums.
Who?
Yeah, but
Moschino and them.
or
Moschino
what
and
about the other
Emilio.
two? See, I don't
Sparks.
even remember their
See,
names.
that's what I'm saying.
Moschino, yeah,
Of the
stupid.
successful ones, they had Jay.
Okay.
They had Ye.
Uh-huh.
They had Beans.
Right.
Memph succeeded. He
Cam.
had gold albums at least. If you're gonna count Jizz as a success, Memph succeeded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah,
All right,
not
but that's-
Memphis Bleak. Not
uh,
compared to Genius. No way.
If you're talking gold
Right, if
album,
we're gonna
yeah,
base it
I
off
believe
but I
he
think
would have had more gold
I think
albums.
over time, Jizz's album it did probably double, triple platinum.
I would doubt that.
Really, Liquid Swords?
I'm sure it's platinum.
It
Plus,
has to
at this
be.
point.
Check it. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that.
Okay, we gotta look that up.
Who
but-
else was there? Emil, she failed.
Cam.
Cam,
Oh, yeah.
platinum.
Big
Cam.
success.
And Dipset.
Cam, no
And
less.
And
Big
Dipset,
Jones.
like
Who's
Jewels,
left?
Jones. Yeah.
Young Guns even went platinum.
Yeah.
What, one time? Maybe off a single?
One time is more than
None time.
none times.
I just think you can't compare the crews because The
Nah,
Rock,
yeah.
like you said, has 2 billionaires. It has Cam. It has, Jim Jones. Like these cats, they're out of the stratosphere when it comes to success level in music.
Yeah.
But what the Wu did as well will never be reproduced because they were the first crew to break out
No,
with
culturally,
independent.
their cultural impact is way.
And what
I
they
don't
did
know.
contractually, you know what I'm saying? With
I
the
would say their
labels.
cultural impact is greater than The Rock.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's
The
tough.
Rock, if you're going crew versus crew, but
Right.
Jay might be, his cultural impact might be, I don't
And
know,
Yeezy. And
close
yeah,
to Wu,
that's what
but
I'm
Wu
saying.
had a global
They
impact.
did.
Nah, yeah,
They
yeah,
did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ye
But-
too. Kanye too, though.
But you can battle that
With Jigga and,
with
and Ye.
cultural impact versus
Success.
dollars brought in.
Yeah,
Exactly.
success. Like
Absolutely.
monetary success.
tours.
Yeah. And,
Which
and,
is where I always
yeah,
stand.
and what I was
stand
saying
on
with the
business
contracts,
side.
though, and what they did with the contracts, where they signed to a major and then
they
still
were
were
allowed to
able
go
to,
sign wherever they wanted to, yeah.
each member was
Yeah.
able to go.
That was
That's-
also
That's
groundbreaking,
never been
too.
heard of
Absolutely.
before.
Absolutely.
That's
They-
groundbreaking.
You know
they-
what? But
they
if you
have
think
their
about it back then,
pluses.
though, it could very well be because who was it? Loud, yeah. Loud wasn't looking to sign each one individually.
No, RZA demanded that
RZA,
wherever
yeah.
they signed, they had to have that included in their group contract. That when they can individually go to different labels.
And the dude from
because
Loud,
normally
Steve Rifkin,
when
gave
you
him
sign
that
as a
contract.
group,
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
whatever label you're on gets first dibs if y'all go solo.
Exactly.
And RZA had the plan made already.
Yeah,
So he kind of wanted to plant somebody at every major label so
Okay.
that Wu-Tang could kind of infiltrate every major
brand.
label.
And
Similar
on
to
top
me having kids in every country and then raising them to be
Right,
politicians.
the same
so
way.
that I can
You
run
on the same
world
plan. You on the
eventually.
RZA plan.
Me and RZA had
Right,
a
true,
similar
true.
And on top of that, he matched the artist with the label.
Right.
Like he definitely wanted to send
Meth to
Meth
Def.
to Def
Def
Jam
Jam,
and shit. He wanted to send.
But Raekwon to RCA, what was behind that though? Why?
Because the type of music that
Wasn't
they
Raekwon on Loud?
Yeah, Raekwon was on
Loud,
Loud, Loud
I put money
RCA.
that
Yeah,
he
Loud
was on
RCA.
RCA, dog.
No, Loud
But I
RCA.
think
I put money that it wasn't Loud. I'm sure it wasn't Loud.
Let me
Check it out, brother. Do your Googles.
let me explain.
Yeah, my
Loud
fault.
was a part of RCA.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So
Yeah,
Loud was
yeah.
a subsidiary.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
That
And he
they-
sent
you're both right.
Old Dirty to
Electra.
Electra, yeah.
But
with
he-
all the giants.
Yeah,
with the words.
but what happened was that ODB didn't want that contract.
He wanted
with
to go to
Electra.
Def Jam.
He wanted to go to Def Jam,
Yeah.
according to the
documentary.
I don't
the
blame
show.
him. You
Yeah.
know, Def Jam at that time was like the
He was
holy
actually
land,
really
you
pissed
know?
at the RZA too,
Everybody
though.
wanted
And
to go
Def Jam wanted him,
Def
which,
Jam.
which was the difference, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
I think he probably, oh man, his trajectory would have been different.
Nah, but
But he
for nothing.
succeeded on Electra.
No. But
He did.
the thing is, the RZA foresaw everything, and he benefited more by signing with Electra.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
saying?
But again, his trajectory would have been different.
Yeah.
Where did Ghost end up? Was Ghost on Loud too?
Ghost was on Sony.
Sony.
Yeah.
All right.
Which was big.
But I go back
Sony
to
Epic.
the brothers that didn't get pushed or didn't get.
Well,
Where did Inspector Deck end up? Where did
Inspector
RZA
Deck
want
is a
him?
sad tale because his first album got wiped out in the Great Flood.
Yes, correct.
You know what I'm saying?
sucks.
And things would have been different.
And I think he was scheduled to drop what, 5th or 6th?
He was scheduled to
Or
drop
maybe even
after.
third?
He was scheduled to drop between Ghost and what's his name and the Jizza.
Right.
they
So he
dropped
would have
right
been
after
in
each
that
other.
initial
Yeah,
run.
yeah.
And
Yeah, that
he
would
was
have
still
changed
hot.
his career.
He would have. He was
Yeah.
still.
What'd you find out?
It is both. It was Loud RCA. Yeah. Okay.
I remember that.
So where did Inspector Deck end up though? Does anyone remember? Was
His
it
first
straight
album,
Interscope?
Uncontrolled Substance, came out on
No, but when it came out,
boutique label.
when it actually came out 12 years later. It didn't
Yeah,
matter. But
yeah.
I mean, in the initial run, when RZA had the plans and everybody had a home mentally already, does anyone recall where he wanted to send Inspector Deck?
Oh no, I don't.
See, again, that was unforeseen. That
Yeah.
you know, nobody can control that.
Yeah.
But he controlled You God, and he controlled Master Killer, and he controlled.
I think you got
Whatever
locked
the
up,
fuck.
didn't he, or something like that?
But he got locked up later.
It
Well, he got locked up
something
during the first
during
album.
The first
Yeah.
album,
But then he was
Maybe,
around
yeah.
for Wu Tang Forever, and I think off Wu Tang Forever they should have been able to fucking catapult into
capitalize,
anybody.
Yeah.
it's funny because you got for as a lack of lyricism, in my opinion, to the other members, he's always on the bangers. Like
Yeah.
he'll have
He's
like
very
8
charismatic.
bars. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Because when
I get
tell
what
me-
you say about
tell
the
me it wasn't
lyricism.
dope when you first said, "Bro, I'm gonna give it to you."
Yeah.
With no trivia. That
Bro,
was
like
him.
cocaine straight from Bolivia.
So he's not
That shit
top
was
tier
dope, yo.
lyricism, but he's top tier like delivery.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
energy.
nah, he knows how to deliver and shit. Word.
Yeah.
Pause.
He's on
Where do you
bangers.
think you would have fell in the? First of all, are you rapping as part of the Wu Tang?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, where do you think
Among
you
other
would have
things.
fell amongst the,
Lyrically, ranking.
yeah, like
lyrical
the
ranking.
Would you have dropped in the initial run? Would you have been a B?
Yeah, no, I would have dropped in the initial run because I would have known that these cats are out for death. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they just gonna try to murder shit. So I would have been in there every day with meth, with Ray, trying to sharpen my sword and take advantage of the beats that RZA was
the
pumping
RZA.
out at the time, because you know, like you always want to call first dibs on the hottest shit,
Hell yeah.
and you want
that,
to, you know,
that string of first beats from 36 all the way down to Iron Man were just epic.
yeah,
Fucking bangers.
And the beats
even
that got lost.
even and imagine the beats that got
beats
lost.
that got
I'm
lost.
sorry, and I
I
forgot.
would have had them shits on CD.
and I forgot
bro.
about Wu Tang Forever.
Yeah,
Wu Tang Forever was
Wu-Tang
a
Forever.
Exactly.
masterpiece.
That's what
You know
I'm saying. Wu Tang Forever should have been a launching pad for any of the artists that weren't
On the initial
already.
run.
Yeah.
Now, do you consider them successful as a group on the album, each individual member? Because I do.
Yes, as a group, they are super successful.
Yeah.
As individual artists, there's a group that's successful,
yeah.
and there's a group that didn't achieve what their brothers did.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what
But
I
as
mean
a
is,
group, as the Wu Tang Clan, all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, they
Yeah,
changed the game.
of
They
course,
but all their albums sold.
But
Yeah.
the question that I'm posing is, for example, do you consider let's say who was let's say Master Killer as not being successful individually, do you consider him being successful
within the group?
Yeah, but
right.
yeah, he was successful, correct? So
within
I think
the
that's
group,
big
yes.
because that's something that The Rock kind of lacked. You feel me? Maybe Rock La Familia was like one of those group albums, even though it was under Jay-Z's banner initially, but let's say somebody like a Mill that really didn't have success.
Well, but Rock wasn't a group.
Exactly. Exactly.
The thing
That
that
was
happened
like a
with that album,
compilation.
the thing that happened with that album is that initially it started as a compilation, and the label and Jay and Rock and them felt it wasn't gonna make it as a fucking compilation, so let's turn it into a Jay album.
Yeah.
He's on every song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he is the focal point of Rockefeller.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what they did in order for it to be more successful.
Yeah.
For it to garner more sales.
But they
You see
were
what I'm
never
saying?
a group.
They were never a group. Yeah.
No.
The reason that I asked that is because
They were for that
just
album.
that alone you can say is another big thing because not only was the Wu a crew, it was also a group. So that's something in there that I think is very important.
Plus all their spinoffs. You had
Exactly.
Killer Army, Sons of Man,
Shaheem, who was in the lab.
right.
Shout out to
Brother
him.
Shaheem. You know what I'm saying? You had all them other
But I
spinoffs
feel
and
like
shit.
that was more like the label,
Mathematics.
the Wu-Tang label.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Wu label.
They were affiliates of the Wu-Tang clan, but it was a label thing.
They're still part of it though. It's just like The Rock. You know what I'm saying? Like
I don't know.
State property.
Did you
being
ever
part of The
see
Rock.
Sons of Man on a Wu-Tang album?
Which I found strange. No,
That's what I mean. They were
find
never
that so
really part of the
strange.
group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
Or
did.
of even of
Of the
the
core group. Right.
or even of the crew. I don't think.
You know what's
They
funny
were
that you bring that up?
signees.
You know what's funny that you bring that up? One of my favorite Wu affiliates is La the Dark Man.
I remember.
Yo, that motherfucker was nasty.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his album is flooded with Wu members.
right, but not reverse.
But not reverse, exactly, which is a problem. to me.
I would understand that from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
Because he's a new artist.
Yeah.
You want to put established, known artists on it
Right,
like
right,
himself.
right.
That makes sense. But if he was really down, he would have appeared on a Wu-Tang.
On a
Yeah,
Wu-Tang
yeah,
album.
exactly.
As
But
opposed-
of all the members, I think he's the only one that had that because I don't remember too many Wu-Tang members being on Killer Army.
RZA was on Killer Army.
Yeah, he
like,
was.
As far as production, pretty heavy.
Right, he
and I
was.
think a few of the guys featured.
Oh, definitely production. Yeah. But
I think a few of the artists featured.
were they?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Not a lot, not like a
Yeah.
flood. Because remember, Killer Army was also fucking
Nasty
a bunch
themselves.
of motherfuckers too.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
had
yeah.
about
Exactly.
6 or 7,
It
8
was
Right.
like
members.
6, 7 of them.
So you can't feature too many. But
Word.
all right, let's go to the commission. The least official of these crews, and only because we never got to see them come to fruition.
We only saw it on one song, basically.
My issue with the commission is that it is LeBron and AD on the Lakers with a bunch of scrubs.
That's a good analogy. I like that
You know what I'm
analogy.
saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nah.
So you
I
got
disagree
Jay,
big time. Yeah,
and you
'cause-
got Big, of course, rest in
Right.
peace, and then you got Caesar
Charlie
Leo.
Baltimore. Yeah, but C's would have been. He wouldn't have been like a lyricist that I know of. He would have been the gopher of the team. Like, yo,
The gopher.
go get me. Biggie telling him go get some
All right,
blunts.
so,
Nah,
then-
he
so
could rap,
even
you
worse,
know.
he don't
Yo,
even
come
count.
on, man.
Whatever.
So even worse, he don't even count.
Exactly.
Charlie, potential superstar,
Yeah.
unfulfilled potential.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Sad too. 'cause she
It
was
might have been
nasty.
different if the commission was a real thing.
You
and
know
they
who
had
I
come out.
saw as part of the group, and I might have read this somewhere. But Biggie had a big interest in Cameron, and he went as far as signing Cam, which is how he ended up on Diaz.
Yeah.
So
That would've-
I heard
so
that
you
a lot
right.
of times.
Yeah. Yeah, we know Killer holds his own.
Killer's
always has.
fire. I love Killer.
We can't say that he was
but
part
we
of the
can't
commission.
say that he would have succeeded under the commission because he also didn't succeed really until he got to Rockefeller.
Yeah, but let's
He
be
didn't see
honest.
platinum till he got to
Undias
Rockefeller.
was a whole new idea, in my opinion. They ain't know what the fuck they were doing at that label, which is why Charlie never came out either. You know what I'm saying?
Under
Yeah, but that's
Yeah, under Undias.
That's nigga, you failed. Bad Boy was a new label at
Nah,
one point. Rockefeller was a new label at one point.
Yeah, but we're comparing so many different things. Big Puffy had a hell of work experience. He knew how to groom and manage the artist. Who the fuck at Undias knew how to do that?
So who put these people in charge?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Biggie.
Entertainment.
Yeah, Biggie and Lance
Biggie and So
Yeah.
Biggie should have had some experience.
Yeah, but Biggie didn't get to that level
because he passed away. They never
feel me?
So why would he put in a position that he was unqualified to fill?
But it would have been Biggie and Would have been Biggie and It wouldn't have been just to run the label. I'm sure Big never had that idea. Like, yo, you run the label and
that was just his man.
Yeah.
Like, yo, we're gonna break bread.
That's uncontrollable.
Yeah. Unfulfilled.
Uncontrollable situation.
And unfulfilled as well.
But who else did they have? Puff. All right, Puff 3. So that's Russell Westbrook.
Basically.
And Russell Westbrook, exactly. Like
iffy
we don't
and
know if
shit.
he's gonna be a triple double or
you
fucking
could get triple double rep
or 0 points,
you could
0
get
assists.
or you could get Westbrook. You know what I'm saying?
And then who else was in?
Word up.
But
Commission, Charlie Baltimore.
Yeah.
Uncle Paulie?
Uncle Paulie, but he would have just been
But who was Uncle Paulie?
I think at the end of the day, Uncle Paulie was if I'm not mistaken.
Had, Iceberg Slim.
That's
Charlie
Jigga.
Baltimore. Iceberg Slim.
He said her like 3 times.
I don't fucking know. I don't
the
remember the
most
song.
shady.
That's most shady, Eminem.
That's my whole problem with this.
That would have been a good signing.
Word up. That's my problem with this
wrong.
pick. That was my problem with this pick is that it's not an actual crew.
It wasn't
my
official
opinion.
at all.
It wasn't official. It was an unofficial crew. We don't even know. I mean, it would have been dope. Honestly, but we don't even know if they would have gotten together, so I can't see.
They could have put out a Firm album.
Exactly.
Too many chefs in the kitchen. Everybody
true,
trying to take control.
Yeah, but
because the Firm album, for as dope as it is now, when it first came out, it was underwhelming.
Yeah,
it was we've grown to appreciate the positives of it, but it still has those negatives.
It was borderline disappointing.
You know what I feel they were
bro.
You know what I feel they were reaching. They were
Mother
trying to
nature,
reach too much commercial success, and that's what I feel fucked up the Firm.
But that was what the time period was.
Yeah.
But
they saw.
Remember how you felt when Biggie put out Hypnotize?
Right.
They
saw the success
like
of that. They saw that success and they wanted that.
Honestly.
So
and they chased
it's possible the commission might have went down the same path.
Right.
You know, it's highly unlikely because, well, no, not really, because again, Big did Hypnotize, which when it came out, it was disappointing. Jay did Volume 1, which we were talking about last night. When it came out, it was disappointing. We've come to consider it a classic now, but you still got to remember.
I didn't think it was disappointing.
I thought initially it was a fucking amazing album.
Me too.
I've always liked Volume 1.
But I'm talking about general consensus.
Consensus, yes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about for myself at least. I'm not even gonna lie. I initially thought Volume 1 was exceptional.
Absolutely.
I've always thought that. I still believe it.
Minus the obvious fucking tracks. You know, I know what boys like.
But that's my point.
Like,
they were reaching for that commercial success too. So
City is Mine.
It's not
City is
impossible
Mine
that the commission would have did the same thing and possibly failed.
I don't see that happening, man. Because with Big and Jay, them two alone would have held it down.
But they both just showed you a track record of that happening.
Yeah,
but
that's
how?
A fact.
Biggie went diamond when he came out. What do you mean?
Hypnotize. The general consensus when it came out
first,
was
right.
that it was too commercial.
Right.
Volume 1, same thing. The Firm album, same thing.
Right.
So you have two artists that have already done this. It's not impossible to think that they'll do it again as a group. Not saying it's 100% going to happen,
Right.
but if we're speaking theoretically, you know, they could have come out and dropped a 5-mic classic album, or they could have come out and dropped a Firm album.
I get what you're
because
saying.
what happened with the Firm? They had Nas, they had AZ, they had Foxy, they had dope artists that weren't known for failure.
Put it this way: every artist on there, maybe with the exception, and I do not mean this in no disrespectful way, they were all A-listers. Maybe minus minus what's his name, Nature.
And they had Dre, and they had Trackmaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
They were all A-listers.
Yo, they were destined to succeed, and somehow they came up
Didn't.
with a subpar project.
Yeah,
so
like,
it's not impossible to think
it
that
didn't.
the commission,
Not that it was subpar sonically or anything, but it would just didn't do what everybody thought it was gonna do. When you heard affirmative
Listen,
action.
also,
I'm
remember,
gonna go back to. I don't want to bring this up because I don't want to get into the discussion, but I'm gonna go
blame it on Nature.
I'm gonna go back to the fact that Core Mega was left off because it changed the trajectory of the persona because they went from mafioso to just like that happy-go-lucky crew, and that wasn't what they were originally.
But I don't think
Nah.
we've had this argument, and I
telling
don't want to
you.
have it again. But I don't think
me
Cormega
neither.
had the stain to influence the end product.
But neither did Nature.
At the
I
time,
don't think Nature did either. I
nobody
put the
knew-
blame on Dre and
nobody
Track
even knew
and
who
Nas
Nature
and-
was. Nobody even knew who
If
Nature was.
we're gonna blame anybody, blame the people that
what I'm
that
saying?
were in charge, that were in control. Mega wasn't in control. Neither was Nature. They were I would say they were the least powerful of the whole crew.
I think for an album and a crew to be successful, it has to be a perfect storm. You have to have fucking dope ass rappers. You have to have, I mean, not in today's game, but back then, dope ass beats, and then just the mastermind behind it. Like, hey, this is what we're gonna put out right now. This is,
It's like what the
This-
RZA
this
did.
is-
RZA set out a theme and he stuck to it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Same thing with
but
Dame.
It's different
with the Rock.
because RZA, they came out as a group.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Firm, a bunch of solo artists being
Right.
put together to make a group. Same thing for the Commission.
Yeah, but
Kind of like
look,
Slaughterhouse.
Kinda
But-
like Slaughterhouse.
But they were more organic because already Nas had a relationship with AZ.
Yeah, but he didn't have a relationship like RZA had with these niggas that he grew up with and went to grammar
No.
school
But
with.
more so than like
Jay and Big had
Jay
a
and
similar
Big.
relationship
Yeah.
to Nas.
Oh, excuse
and
me.
AZ.
More so than I don't know. More so than another crew, but what I want to say is that it's got to be a perfect storm. It's got to be like everything clicked on
I
every
totally
cylinder
get
for
it.
them to be successful.
That's why the Commission to me is it's not a guaranteed success. Also, another factor that we didn't speak on was the anticipation that would have been built for the Commission album.
yeah,
Similar to the Firm. There
Right.
was so much anticipation
True.
that regardless of what they put out, it would have been hard to live up to the fucking
Expectation.
expectation. They could have put out a 5-mic album and it still would have been like, it's not good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe over time, I don't know.
Because if you hear Jay and Big alone, just say only Jay and Big,
That's what I was gonna say.
you think you're gonna get the fucking dopest album ever.
of course.
Well, but that's what I was gonna say. We do have those tracks that
Right,
they have
that
together.
they
We
have,
have
and they're
Young
fucking dope.
G's. We have Brooklyn's Finest. We have I love the dough.
Right.
So even at the time when you first listen to those tracks, you're like, Brooklyn's Finest was the exception, but I Love the Dough, for example, I heard it. I'm like, yeah, the shit is dope. And then it took me a little minute for it to be like, yo, this fucking song is fucking dope.
to
as
me,
fuck.
I caught that right away.
You
The
think
way
that-
they went back and forth.
I
and
think
shit.
to me was just the hook. I don't know what it was. I was just like,
I'll
no,
tell
this
you,
shit
it's
is
a
dope.
commercial sound
Yeah, it's very
song.
commercial. It's
Yeah.
almost like hypnotized.
Compared to Brooklyn's Finest,
Exactly.
especially.
But you're
And
talking
even Young
about
G's, that shit was
the
dope.
arguably the two best rappers of all time.
Exactly.
Right.
And you've also got to remember these songs
If
that
they
you're
don't
talking
produce
about.
that, then what the fuck?
Then
are we
what the
talking
fuck is
about?
going on?
The songs
Yeah.
that you're talking about are features. So, for
Even-
example, Young G's, Puff is behind it,
Right.
and Big,
Right.
and Jay came in and did a feature. With the Commission, I fear they could have gone down the same path as the Firm, where it's too many chefs in the kitchen and too many people putting input. So now you get this mishmash of fucking what should have been dope, but so many people fucked with it that now it's less dope than it should have been.
Maybe.
And not saying that would have happened. It's
Yeah.
just
Right, right,
theoretically.
right.
We can't always theorize to the positive side.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because there's always the theory of, if Big was alive, hip hop would be dope and nobody would be trash.
No,
There was trash rappers when Big was alive.
Facts,
Yes.
facts.
And they were succeeding.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put this out there, and let everyone hear me. I'm looking right at the camera. I'm gonna put this out there.
Don't say if Cormega was there. It would
Nah,
have been
check,
better.
nah. If right now Jay-Z and Nas put out an album, in my opinion, that shit would be a certified banger.
I disagree.
In my opinion.
100%.
Okay,
Like a certified banger,
gotta
how
have your
commercially or all overall? Like
overall,
commercially and critically.
and critically, overall, I think it
Their
would be a
track
certified
record
banger.
doesn't lead me to believe that.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
But
the
I
tracks
think,
that they have
yeah.
done together, again, it goes under that fucking anticipation barrier.
Yeah.
You're
That's why I bring it
thinking
up.
it's gonna be so dope,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
why I
when
bring
you
it
hear
up.
it, you're like, it's cool.
I thought it was gonna be better.
But I thought it was gonna be like if Jesus was on the song and
Yeah.
shit.
You know, and the reason
I think
say
they've
that,
yet to put out the song that we're waiting for.
yeah.
It's funny because you like that last song that they just put out.
Let me ask.
And it fell flat for me, but then I'll listen to it and I'll be like, no, this song
What,
is all right.
the DJ Khaled one?
Yeah,
That
the
shit?
DJ
Khaled.
I didn't care for it,
But
but
I-
I think more because of the production, I didn't care for it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
that's what it was.
the
That's what it
production.
And the hook.
Let me ask
Yeah.
you this: Who's had a better collaboration, Jay and Nas, or the Throne?
The Throne.
The Throne.
The Throne is just-
a lot of people think that's a classic album.
There's no
That is a
way.
I
classic
wouldn't
album.
argue that.
Yeah, there's no
too
way
much.
you can. It's because of Yeezy and the fact that he produced The Throne. You feel me?
He helped. Yeah, he
It's different.
produced a lot of it. He didn't
It's a
produce the whole thing,
different,
but he produced a lot of it.
What do you think is
Dynamic.
the best Jay Nas song?
We talked about that.
Yeah.
I really, really like Black Republicans, but I
Republicans.
think Success is their best song.
How many do you know
That was
offhand how many they have? Is it 2, 3, 4?
3.
Three, I think. I
Yeah.
think it's Success, Black Republicans,
And the
and
Khaled
that third
song?
one,
And
if
the
I'm not
Khaled
mistaken.
shit,
But maybe Black Republicans. I don't know. I really like Success. I think they
Success
both
better
got
than
off
Black
on
Republic.
Success.
I like Success better. I don't hate Black Republicans. It's
Yeah.
just that first. It's the first Nas.
It
and
was
Jay song.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Why
what it
didn't they
was.
get Digi Premier?
For real?
Yeah, DJ Premier
Like
would
what the
have been.
fuck? That,
but
that's so simple.
But you
Yeah.
know what? Look, with the question you just asked, nowadays with the way the rap climate is, if Jay was to do the premiere album that we've all been waiting on forever,
It wouldn't
commercially,
live up.
it wouldn't
No,
it wouldn't blow
no.
commercially.
Nothing Jay
you
is
know?
doing is commercially gonna be what it was back then. Same
Right.
thing for
Not
Nas.
at all.
Yeah.
It would have been. It
unfortunate,
would be a
bro.
dope album, no doubt. But commercially, it wouldn't.
But that's today. When
No,
they
no,
when
today,
they
today,
did
today.
Black Republicans, that's
Uh-huh.
a good 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they were still pretty
Music was
buzzing,
different
and
then.
Premier was hotter than he is today. No shot.
Yeah, music was different. Then.
Yo, and let it be known, this came from the horse's mouth. I got to ask what's
Young Guru.
Yeah, Young Guru. I got to ask him the question
Oh,
when he
word.
went to the store that time about that, and he told me the only reason why 444, that's what it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only reason why it didn't end up being premiere is because Primo had some other shit he was working on.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Jay reached out to him. And Jay was ready to go. He said, yo, that's how Jay is. If you're not ready, he's going to go without you. And that's how No ID ended up on that.
I think it was better than it was No ID. It was more surprising.
I think because of the type of album it was, I think No ID was
Yeah.
a better
Yeah,
fit
fit
as well.
better. Yeah.
But that don't mean we'll never get the J Primo album or the Nas Primo album.
Or the Jay Nas
That's
Primo
the one
album.
we need. Yeah, that's the one we fucking need.
Facts.
Facts. That is a
Shit.
fact, though.
All right, let's go to Terror Squad.
Error Squad, Terror Error.
Today's price is not yesterday's price.
Yo, I hate that saying blew up. Like, that's so fucking trash. Bro.
Nah, but
I
Terror
fucks with
Squad,
Joe,
man. Like I like I said before, I would like to work with Pun, obviously, and produce for them, and plus stick with my Boricuas, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know?
Yo, and it's funny that you
And
say
be
that.
part of
It's just so
Latino
much
hip-hop
fun.
and shit, you know what I mean?
It's yo.
It
When
would've
you
been
listen
fun.
to Yeah Baby,
Yeah, bro.
that album you could tell was so much fucking. I have fun just listening to it. Imagine
yeah.
them making it.
You know what
You
I'm
know what I'm
saying?
My
And-
issue with them is Joe, man, and
Yeah.
the bad business, bro.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. And I probably keep it real because of my impulsive personality and pick. I would have suffered. You know what I'm saying? I probably would have got jerked. Or I would have
At
like,
least you're honest enough to admit that.
you know what I'm saying? Like I probably would have suffered and I would have learned from it, obviously. You know what I mean? And it probably would have shifted me and shaped me into a different artist or whatever. But I would definitely love to produce. And plus they worked with dope producers like Minnesota and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would have liked to work with them and shit. You know what I
I
mean?
think as far as squad,
I would have
to-
fit.
to-
I would have fit into like the type of music they make.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I think so.
And,
You know what I'm saying?
I
like
can
a
see
squad
that.
to have fun with. I think Terror
Yeah,
Squad
for
would
sure.
have been a good selection.
And Pun, bro, like to me, he's a fucking legend, bro. Like he's in my top 5. So
I just think the business aspect of
Yeah.
it and the fact that Pun was the only one that succeeded, even though Remy dropped much later and shit, but he
Yeah.
was really the only one that dropped.
We were talking about that off air, and I think that over time, I think Remy, in my opinion, was a success. She had
Remy as a brand,
as
a
a
success.
yes, Remy
Yeah,
as
as
a
an
brand,
artist,
yes,
she never lived up to what she could have been,
never
sales
lived-
wise
yeah.
and numbers wise.
Yeah.
Not Mike lyric wise.
no,
But
no,
is there a
absolutely.
difference when you're talking about
Right.
the
Should that even
individual,
count?
you know?
Like should the sales even count when you're talking about somebody's quality as a rapper? You know what I'm
It
saying?
depends on
It's certain
it
things,
depends on
certain
you.
ways. But you
to
know,
me, the sales
Yeah.
always count because nigga, I don't give a fuck if you can rap better than anybody. If we can't sell a record, what good does it do us?
True.
Yeah,
True,
no,
that.
yeah.
but
I
I
mean,
think I think the brand plays a big contributing factor to it because it's just like Kanye.
But
you know?
the brand of Remy succeeded in spite of Terror Squad, not because of Terror Squad.
yeah,
Nothing she's
agreed.
done that has blown up was because
Right.
of Terror Squad.
Was
or
like tied to Terror
included.
Squad and yeah, true.
Even when she went back and did that album with Joe, Plata o Ploma, that
Yeah.
shit was a flop.
Plata o Plomo, yeah.
it had the one single, obviously, and that was it.
Yeah, but other than that,
and then
But
what?
that
Lean
single
back,
was big, though.
lean back,
Lean Back,
That
which
Lean
was
Back
a
was
Joe
big.
record though.
Yeah.
But she probably got change off that shit. She's still probably getting paid off that shit.
It's Joe's track record doesn't lead me to believe that again.
Nah, but still, going back to Lean Back, that was a fucking standout performance.
On a Joe record,
On a Fat Joe record, yeah.
you know, it helped her.
Yeah.
It helped her exposure, but they didn't follow it
Not
up.
for nothing, they always play the Remy fucking verse. You know when they always cut it up and they like cut shit out? They always play the Remy verse, yo.
I'm not saying they don't, but a good label
Just saying.
would have taken that and used it to springboard
Yeah.
her into a successful
Yeah.
single and then drop the album.
Yeah.
And they could have, the whole thing could have been rolled out properly.
Right.
And they didn't.
Right.
You know, the song came, it blew up, one of the biggest hip hop songs in the history of music.
In the history of music.
And
word.
then they,
one of the biggest
what
songs.
happened
in the
after?
history,
What
yeah.
was next? Another Joe single? Nothing for Remy?
I think you're right. I think she's succeeded
Well-
in spite of Terror Squad. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But she's still part of it. You know, she's still.
That's
regardless-
another one. That's another one.
part
I
of
But
would
they
Taylor
love to
didn't
work
help
with
her, is
Remy.
my point.
No.
I would
They-
have liked to work and develop with Remy and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I could dig it. I could dig it.
Yeah, you could push.
Same thing with
Tony Sunshine too.
Word,
Tony
Tony
Sunshine.
I
Sunshine,
feel
word,
I feel
another
Cuban
dope
Link,
artist.
yo.
Cuban Link was always dope to me. I know you probably
he
didn't
was
rock
always
with
dope
Cuban
as
Link,
hell.
but I thought
I thought his
Yeah.
album was dope too. That never
The-
came out.
yeah,
24
carats,
He had the
right?
song
Yeah.
with Maya.
It
and
was-
shit.
I would have
it
loved
was
to work
dope.
with those artists. You know what I'm saying? And
I think Tony Sunshine was the greatest disappointment. I think he could have been fucking
Drake.
fire.
Drake before Drake,
Maybe.
probably.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe not Drake.
The
maybe
Latino
like
Drake and shit.
maybe like The Dream or something like that.
Yeah,
Somebody
definitely
to
a
that level.
successful R&B artist
Yeah.
that would have featured. He raps too.
Yeah, that's what
You
I'm
know,
saying.
he had the look, very marketable and shit.
Didn't he have
could've
that
been a big
song that they
deal.
took the Patrick Swayze sample?
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
like the
that was
one.
a Lumidee song.
Louis D
featuring
song,
Tony
right? Yeah,
Sunshine.
he said
Yeah,
featuring.
that song was dope too.
That was a dope
that
song.
remix.
Yeah.
But
But yeah,
um,
Terror Squad, baby.
yeah,
And then
And I
see
would have
you-
got to, like I said,
yeah.
to rep my Latinos. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So like,
yeah.
But Terror Squad out of the whole crew only had Pun, and that's it.
that
Who else?
succeeded.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that succeeded. Yeah.
Succeeded.
Everybody
Pun
else,
and-
Besides
nobody else
Fat Joe.
succeeded.
Besides Fat Joe.
Pun and Remy had moderate success, and of course
Fat
Joe.
Joe,
You
you
know,
know.
what I'm
Then
saying?
the others
he's
had
gonna
no
succeed,
success.
huh?
Link,
Yeah.
Tony, Armageddon,
Yeah.
Prospect, Triple Ace.
Well, I think after Pun died, they had the falling
'Cause
out.
those were all the
Whatever
buzzwords,
happened, they had the falling out, and then Fat Joe just cut ties, and you know,
Yeah.
he just stuck with Remy eventually, even though they had their falling out or whatever happened with them.
But I think that strengthens the argument that crew was weak. As a crew.
As a crew.
yes,
Yeah.
as a crew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although they did put out that one album that was Terror Squad. I think it was called The Terror Squad.
I love that album.
Yeah.
I love that album.
Yeah, that's a good album. Minnesota was all over that shit.
Yeah.
And now only Joe remains. And I think he's promoting a new single from Prospect.
He's promoting it.
No, Prospect is featuring
Oh.
Fat Joe, but I feel like he's been promoting it for a year now.
Yeah.
And it still hasn't come out.
And Fat Joe is not pushing it neither.
I've never
It's
heard
more
Fat Joe
Prospect?
mention it.
He probably just blessed it. And was like,
Fat
keep
Joe,
it
in
moving.
my eyes, is only worried about Fat Joe and how to make Fat Joe money and how to make Fat Joe succeed. And I'm no knock against Fat Joe. I respect his success and his achievements. Latino brother, shout out to that. But I've never been a big fan of Joe. And
He probably on that same Joe Button shit, man. Like you probably got raped too, and was like, you know, I mean,
but the
there's a
history
lot
says
of
he did
artists.
a lot of raping.
yeah, he did, yeah, but you know, it's just the same thing with Puffy, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
same thing with Puffy is.
I wouldn't sign to Puffy. I love Puffy.
You love him, but
He's
you
one
won't
of my
fuck with him.
like heroes of
Word
life
up.
and shit. One of my idols. I wouldn't sign to him for shit.
Word up.
Not a single deal.
Shit.
But that's because his
I'ma get
history,
rich. I mean,
his
we gonna
track
get rich.
record. Yeah. That's why, you know, Wu-Tang, God bless him.
Yeah.
I don't recall hearing of any shady business from RZA. maybe I missed something.
Just you, God. He's ranted about that before.
Certain
not getting
things,
paid.
yeah.
Oh, what the fuck you gonna pay him for though? Verse days?
Yeah, but I mean, just off, I think 36
I'm
Chambers
giving him
even.
$50.
He had a
for
solo
verse.
project,
You're an
man.
asshole.
But
He had a solo project. He had 2
He
solo
did
projects.
Golden Arms, and it wasn't
Yeah.
that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't
It
bad,
wasn't
yo.
terrible.
I fucked with
From
it.
what-
And he put out a book that's supposedly pretty good.
Yeah, from
Yes.
what I hear, the
Oh.
RZA and his brother Divine, they put the business together, and just certain people, like if they tell you, hey, look, hey, take care of your business, and you don't do it, what do you want them to do? Keep paying you, off what they make. Like
Exactly.
eventually, you gotta be like, hey,
You
come
gotta
on, man.
learn and grow and understand that you yourself are a brand and a business. You can't let somebody run your whole life. But also, I do recall actually during the Wu-Tang documentary that they spoke of some beef. But the beef was that the artist didn't want to pay Divine his management fee. And they would get mad when he would take it.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, the artist is wrong, my nigga.
Absolutely.
You have to pay your manager. If he makes a deal that you get 1,000 and he's supposed to get 20%, and he takes his 200, you can't say give me my full 1,000. How's he supposed to eat? He's doing a job. He has to get paid.
Yeah.
And
So I
he
had
was
to
working.
disagree with them
He
on
was
that.
working.
Yeah.
And Divine.
He
was
got
working.
them their contracts,
All them contracts. And
crazy.
remember back then, Wu-Tang was doing like whatever endorsements they had at the time. Did they have a St. Ides endorsement?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So they were branching off into different shit. The Wu Wear. They ended up getting a video game. Like
That's the thing with music. It's not just music. It's the business of music.
Right.
So a lot of people don't realize that.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I think-
honestly, and the thing is that people fail to realize. Not only do they fail to realize that it's a business of music, but the business of music is 90% encompassing of what you actually do in the music business, in the music industry.
Exactly. And the music is 10% of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
The music is only fucking
Correct.
ancillary. It's
This is-
not even the primary thing anymore.
But I will give you this with your Terror Squad pick. They were groundbreaking. They did put on for Latinos.
Yeah,
they
bro.
had a wave. They
That's what I'm
controlled
saying.
music
I would've wanted to
for
be
a
a part of
period
that,
of
bro.
time. They absolutely controlled hip hop.
Yeah.
It's insane to even think. Latinos controlled hip hop for a period of time in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And had
Don
Pun not
Carter Jr.
passed
album.
away. And I'm gonna put this out there, like you can't say, hey, had this happened, things would be different. But I think had Pun not passed away, that would have kept pushing forward.
Oh yeah, everything would be different.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Sunshine would have had a career.
Yeah,
Remy
yeah.
would have had a better career.
Yeah.
Cuban Link would have got to drop his album.
There would have been more Latins going platinum.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying?
So,
LGP.
but that's why I selected Rockefeller, because they always had their business straight and they always put their artists in a position to
win.
do stuff out of music.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Remember, Beans had his movies and his
State
clothing
property, the
line.
clothing line, yeah.
And then Dipset was in movies too, and I do believe they had a clothing line or something, and they got to branch off and sign artists and shit. And we all know what happened with Ye and Jay, obviously. So
It's
like
too
they
easy
always-
though. It's too easy to rock, bro. It's
Fuck
just
that!
too
Take the easy. Why y'all want to take the
It's
hard
too
route and
easy.
struggle in the Bronx?
I feel you.
In the pissy ass Bronx with Terror Squad. And shit.
I'm in Harlem, baby. I'm in Brooklyn, baby. Yeah.
For real, shout out to the Bronx and no disrespect, but
yeah.
I don't want to hang out broke over there.
I was just in the Bronx, yo. That shit is grimy. Nah, but shout out to the Dominican spot I went to, Ajo y Oregano, out in the bar. That
Oh,
shit
I've
is
been
the shit.
dying to go there.
Yo, my nigga, I'm gonna put you on to some banging ass music.
Yeah.
Yo,
But you
some
can't put me on
dishes.
if I've been dying to go
Well, no,
there.
I'm gonna put you on to these dishes
Oh,
that
yeah.
I
they
had.
came out in the plant. In the
Yeah,
pans,
yo,
the
those,
silver
yo,
pans.
and the drink that I had, I was like, yo, but I never had a drink that's
I've
so
told y'all
fucking
brothers
good.
about that spot. Y'all want to
Yo,
say
we
like
gotta
2
go
or
there.
3 years
Let's go
ago.
there.
Spot. Yeah, shout out to the BX. You know what I'm
I
saying?
communicated
shout out to
with the
BX. We gotta
owner
hit
on
this. What's the
Twitter.
name? Ajo
Really?
Ajo y Oregano.
Ajo y Oregano. Yeah.
Shout to
Shout
them.
out to them,
them.
man, big time. If y'all want to send us like a gift certificate or an invitation or whatever,
Facts.
That'd be
Burnz.
dope. We'll
Yo,
go out there.
word
We'll
up.
rep.
Is my wifey listening? Yo, and the chicks that serve,
edit.
Dominican. That's all I gotta say. Dominican.
We
You know what I'm saying?
Looking forward.
Man, I'm gonna change my crew. I want to be down with them over there.
Word up, come through. Oh man, but The Rock, man, they absolutely.
Yeah.
If Terror Squad controlled music in the 2000s, anything beyond that, from 2000 to 2000 and maybe 10, and even to this day,
Still.
The Rock
is ever present.
Yeah, the wave. They were the wave. Yeah. They controlled hip hop.
It would have been. I mean,
and that's another. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's one of the biggest what ifs if they would have stuck together,
say the same thing.
bro.
Yeah,
like if they would have fucking got through their differences and stuck it out, how powerful and what they could have shown us to do, bro.
Absolutely.
Like what they could have been, bro. Like
Absolutely.
I remember when they folded, they were still signing. So they had signed ODB and MOP and Nori.
Yeah.
And I even think they signed Joe Budden.
yeah. Did they? Shit.
They signed Nori.
For
I
a
remember
very
when they
small
signed
time
Nori.
frame.
I went to a paid in full concert at Hammerstein Ballroom, and that shit was one of the dopest concerts that I ever been to.
I remember the soundtrack?
The soundtrack.
Oh,
they
yeah.
had like 1,000 people on stage at one point. Nori was performing. I think Freeway was there. Like, yo, bro, they had a fucking wave, man.
A run, yeah. I mean, the rock wave. I mean, they showed everybody what it is to be fully independent. And shit.
You know what? Fuck, we forgot Big L was gonna be a part of that too.
Yeah.
I was talking about that
Shit.
with this man
His favorite artist.
last week, and
He would have been
he
another
opposes
Moschino.
that. He opposes that.
How the fuck you figure that?
He opposes that.
Because his track record is not successful.
Because he never had the right people backing him up. I'm sure that with Dame behind backing him up would have been a different story. The
But
big
he
picture.
You're
doesn't
sure
agree that Big
because
L
you
was
think-
signing. He doesn't agree that Big L was signing with Dame.
No, I
But
believe
that
he
was
was
yeah,
signing.
that's a fact.
I
That's a
believe
fact.
that.
Yeah, that was
I
a
just don't
rumor.
believe he was destined to be as successful as you guys believe.
Nah, yeah,
I don't
he-
think he had the star power. I don't think he knew how to make hit records. I mean, his first album to this day sold 200,000 copies.
Yeah,
Well, but you know,
look
a
at-
hit record. What's a hit
Brother.
record? A hit record is one track. Again, with the perfect storm, like
I'm talking from the business standpoint.
Yeah, no, from the
A
of
gold
course,
album,
of course.
a platinum album, something
course.
that brings the label money.
Yeah, of course. But I think that he would eventually found his way. Just like Jim Jones. Jim Jones, it took him 3 albums to become who he is now. You know, and I
But Jim
put
Jones
him in the
did it.
same lane as Cam.
Jim Jones did it.
Yeah,
My
he
thing
was
with Big L
able
is
to.
it's always
He was able
hypothetical.
to. He was
So
able
you
to.
guys land on the Big L would have been this great success story and
Yeah.
superstar akin to Jay-Z or lyrical god platinum artist. That's
Maybe,
fine.
maybe
I land
not
on the
Jay-Z.
other side,
Yeah.
where I think he wasn't
Yeah.
everything y'all make him out to be, and signing to Rockefeller or not doesn't guarantee him success.
Yeah.
But he would have had Dame to have his back, which would have been a different way of management.
That's correct.
So what
But that doesn't guarantee success.
what artists you put in his lane? Big L's that are
Comparable.
right?
Cormega.
Comparable right now.
Cormega.
Cormega in Big L.
No, I'm just saying that.
I
knew you
was
were
gonna say
just
maybe
trolling.
not Big L level. You know,
No, I
Cormega's
don't
nasty.
know. I would have to think
Maybe like
deeper.
AZ?
I would have to. It's the thing with Big L is that he died.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
It's unknown, but I
Because-
don't know what's an art. Cormega might actually be the right artist because he's held in these high esteemed, highly revered MC
Yeah,
because of his talent.
Yeah.
But on the business end,
Yeah.
he's a sub gold artist.
yeah.
He's never sold gold or better. I don't even know if he's ever sold gold.
Who? Cormega?
Cormega.
He
So-
has to have Soul Gold.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's
Yeah, he has,
he's a
like,
well-respected artist in the hip hop community, absolutely, just like
For
Big
his
L.
craft.
But from the business standpoint, which is what I'm always talking about, the business.
Yeah.
He's not considered a successful artist.
Because he doesn't sell
Yeah.
your,
To me.
to your
Yeah,
expectations.
yeah.
To me.
You know what? But even with Mega, let's not forget that he was dropped from Def Jam, so his timing. I
Thank
believe
you.
his timing.
So that's what I
Had
was
he
getting
come out
at.
at the time, I believe he would have been
Let
successful.
me put this
We
out
will
there.
never know.
That's what I was getting at.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's say Cormega, same lane as Big L. I was thinking AZ maybe, but
Cormega and AZ?
No, I was thinking Big L and AZ,
okay,
same
okay.
level.
Okay.
Their business is the business acumen is maybe not there, but AZ and Cormega are independent.
Well, AZ's first album was on a major.
Yeah, his
And
first
it
album.
didn't live up to the expectation.
Just like Big L's and just like Cormega's.
Right.
But
I don't
eventually,
know if Cormega's first album was on a major.
No.
I think it was the,
Remember,
the
it was
realness.
supposed to be on Def Jam, but it got
But it
dropped.
never
Yeah.
dropped.
It came out 10 years later.
That's right. That's
Dropped
right.
later.
What I want to say is that had Big L signed with The Rock, I think it would have been the perfect
chances
storm.
would have improved.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can't disagree.
monumentally. Like
His chances would have improved,
Yeah.
but there's no guarantee.
no,
he would
there's
have
not.
succeeded.
There's not.
Same thing to say there's no guarantee that the commission would have succeeded.
Yeah.
Same way to say there's no guarantee that Pun's third album would have been as great as the first.
The first two, right?
Is it probable? Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
The
You-
track
you know
record
what?
speaks for itself.
But on the
Speaks for
strength, if
itself.
the big picture was able to go gold, just off of the way it came out,
The
you
big-
don't think
the
with the
big-
Rockefeller backing it would have
I
done
think
more
the
than that?
big picture went gold largely due to his death.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I think
I
it
think-
went.
I
I think
think-
because he died, and honestly, in my opinion, it should have gone platinum. Considering it's because of his death.
I want to counter that though. I remember when that album dropped, there was something that was off about the album. I don't remember what it was, but I remember when the album dropped, there was something off. I think Ruckus didn't push it as much as they
Right,
should
right.
have.
It didn't get the
They
right
probably
promotion.
didn't have
Yeah,
the
it
money
didn't get
to
the right
push it.
promotion.
They did,
Right.
yeah, it was something.
They probably didn't have the money to push it
So
the way they wanted
you know,
Probably the money
again,
nor
we
the
never
direction
know.
because the artist is gone.
if the big picture would have come out on The Rock, probably a whole different story. That
I'm
shit
sure.
would've went triple
I'm
platinum.
sure.
Yeah,
Possibly.
like I said, they
Possibly.
didn't have the artist, they didn't have no direction, so they just.
But
put
I
out
don't
what they
live
had.
off that.
Yeah, no,
if and it maybe or possibly.
Yeah.
What really happened is that he put out an album and it didn't sell, and then he died, and then they put out a posthumous album and it went gold. And I think a large part of it going gold was because he died.
Yeah.
I don't recall it there being any big singles off the album. I think there was a single,
Yeah.
you know, and it was probably a regional success, but I don't think there was any big national success singles.
I think it
I
was
could be
that-
remembering
that
wrong,
Rocky
and if somebody
shit.
remembers correctly and I'm wrong, please correct me. Leave a comment or whatever. But as far as I recall,
My whole counter last episode to your argument of him not being, let's not use successful because successful is the wrong connotation. Him being a good artist is that it's impossible for you to say something like that because to this day there are Big L disciples worldwide that will come to Harlem from Germany, from fucking I don't even know, from the Netherlands.
He's revered.
Exactly.
He's revered, yeah.
And
I'm not
you know-
downplaying his status.
yeah.
But again, I think a large part of that was due to his death.
His untimely death.
and
You think his status is also
But
due
there's
to his
other
untimely
artists that
death?
have died that have not had that effect. Big Pun hasn't even had that effect.
I doubt that.
Not,
I'm talking about in terms of underground hip hop circles. Do you see anybody traveling overseas to come to see a Big Pun wall?
You don't know that.
I
I
doubt
wouldn't
it.
be surprised.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
But we don't hear
I
about
highly
it.
doubt
We've
it.
heard about the Big L.
You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
Big
But,
L.
but again, with Big
It's a
L,
different
I
story.
only speak of commercial success.
Yeah,
So when
yeah.
I speak of overrated, I speak of him being overrated as far as a commercially successful artist.
But I think outside of the U.S. always.
Did he have skills? 100%. He could.
Yeah. I think outside of the U.S. because look at,
What?
for example, look at an Oddity.
He
What do you-
might be even be a little overrated lyrically.
How you figure that? Are you crazy?
Give me one Big L line right now.
I'm so ahead of my time, my parents haven't even met yet.
That's a good one.
What the fuck?
That's a good one.
All right, going off of the freestyle that him and Jay-Z did,
Uh-huh.
who do you think was the better MC?
That's Jay-Z.
Oh, you would say that.
Of course.
He was playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had that conversation.
Of course.
last
Okay,
week.
you would
You're
say
running
that.
with boys, I'm running with men. I'm gonna rip the mic until I'm 110. Got these niggas like, damn, this nigga done it again.
I ran up on this nigga named Back in the black gag and put the gat to his cap. Click clack. Sorry, Black, but get him out of that.
All I got for bitches is hard dick and bubble gum. Come on, man. And Jay-Z ripped that shit from him. Come on, God.
Alright,
Big
Jay-Z,
L,
yeah.
man. Big lyrical, man.
I'm not
Hell
saying
yeah.
he's not lyrical.
Hell yeah.
Just possibly overrated lyrically.
Nah,
but again, I could
not
be
at all.
wrong too. And also, that's
on,
just my
man.
opinion.
Yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
can
yeah,
disagree.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
I just,
mine is
you
not
know,
the
I
final
go back
word.
to the first time I heard him and I heard MVP, the most valuable poet on the MIC.
That's a great
and I'm
song.
like,
Yeah.
yo, dude,
With the
not too
original
many
Biggie
rappers,
sample.
not too many with the original Biggie sample.
Yep.
The One More Chance.
Yeah.
Not too many
The DeBarge
rappers,
sample.
The barge word.
you know, gave me that like rush, like, damn, bro, this motherfucker's no joke. You know, that I had to, who the fuck is this nigga getting braided on the steps on his stoop? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Then he had the grave on that same
Yeah.
album. He had the graveyard with Jigga.
Right.
yeah. He had Cam,
He had
and
Cam on
Jigga
that too.
on,
Yeah,
the
Cam,
album.
yeah.
you
Well,
He was part of Children of the Corn.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Cam is not a big surprise. And then Jay and DMX, yeah, he had them before they were known. So
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think it would have been hard to get him on the track. They were unknown
But it's still
artists.
dope. It's still
I'm not saying
it
it lacks the dope.
in rap circles. People know.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
exactly,
saying? You
yeah.
say Big L, people know.
He's a legend, man. Stop it.
Big legend.
He's a legend, lyrically, artist wise. He's not a legend when it comes to commercial success.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll take that.
He was on his way
I'll
to
take that,
that,
bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was on his way
Yeah.
to that. With Dame Dash behind.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
He could have put out a trash single and went wood.
Nah.
Highly
I
unlikely.
would have loved to see him
Highly
on the
unlikely.
rock.
Yeah, I
bro.
would have loved to have seen
my
that too.
God.
Then maybe he would have fulfilled the prophecy.
I would have loved to have
man.
seen that too.
Yeah,
shit is
I'm not
crazy.
saying he's trash. I would never say he's trash,
Right.
but you know,
Right.
and he does have songs I like. The Dice Game is a fucking awesome.
Casualties of
story,
Dice
yeah.
That shit is classic.
But all right. Any final thoughts on these crews or any other crew you might have wanted to join had you not selected your first crew?
My
Any,
honorable mention was The Firm.
The firm.
The Firm.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what it's all about.
I'm 2 for 2,
It hurts. The firm. Hold on.
Sideways, think it's something sweet.
The firm with nature
There's only
or
one
Mega.
The Firm.
or Core Mega.
I'll be honest, Mega.
Alright, I'll take that. I'll take
All
that.
right, so y'all
I'm
would
there.
have put out
I'm
one
in
song.
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. One of the dopest tracks
The
of all
VSOP, the
time.
VSOP remix.
Wear it up.
So you would have put out one song and it would have been okay.
How about you, Black?
Nah, I don't have no other crew, but you know,
Junior
back to the
Mafia,
commission. Back to the commission. With those two top tier MCs, there's no way success would not have been achieved. No way. Can't nobody convince me otherwise.
I know that's fine. You're allowed to feel
I'll
that way.
give you
Your
this
opinion
example.
is valid.
I'll tell you like this. Look, we talked about it earlier. Jigga and Nas, Black Republican, was underwhelming.
And The Firm.
I happen to like Black
I don't
Republican.
think it's
I happen to like that a
underwhelming.
lot.
I just it's one of those tracks that I don't know. I listen to it now and I think it's dope.
I like it.
I like Black Republican. You guys don't like that
Yeah,
shit?
yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna
It's
say
not that we
absolutely.
don't like it.
Uh-huh.
It's that the expectation was so great
Yeah.
that it was underwhelming.
Yes.
And I think
I think it was the
commission
production.
might
Yo,
have-
but I think
same
the whole
thing might have
track is
happened.
terrible.
dope. I like
No,
the
but
fucking,
it was just
Yo, I like the production
underwhelming.
and the
The
song.
production wasn't
Y'all
terrible.
don't like that shit?
I liked it. I fucked with it.
I
The
like
production-
it a lot. Yo.
LES, he got it off. I think it
I
could
like
have been
it a
better.
lot.
I expected better. I expected better both lyrically on both parts. Even though Jigga ripped it, but still, like, I don't know.
They
man.
both ripped it.
Yeah, they
I
both
just
damn
think
sure
that
did.
it's hard to live up to the expectation,
yeah.
bro.
I
like-
don't think anything they would have dropped.
You
would have
hear
met our
Jay and
expectations.
Nas, the first song together. I don't know.
Since the
I'm
beef and all
halfway
that shit.
expecting my fucking head to explode when I
Exactly,
hear it.
yeah,
So when
yeah.
that don't happen, it's like, that shit was
I'm surprised by what the three
thought
of
it
you were
was
saying.
dope.
Because I think Black Republic
Again,
is
we're
fucking
not
butter.
saying it's whack.
I think it's butter. The
We're not
production
saying
is
it's whack.
butter.
I'm not saying it's whack. Yeah.
I'm just
It-
saying
look,
with the expectation
It lived up
being
to my
what it was.
expectations.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
that's
lived up
fair.
to my
It did not live up to my.
Well, not to yours.
It's
okay.
not Jay and Big is the thing. It's Jay and Nas.
Yeah,
And they had beef.
yeah.
And Jay and Big didn't. It's not gonna be as organic, you know?
Agreed.
guess.
And these are the factors that are not allowing them to achieve what I believe they are capable of.
I think I gotta hear an album.
They definitely
With Primo
to me, they haven't put out
producing.
that song
Putting it out there.
yet that you're like, oh shit, that's the one I was fucking waiting for.
I got
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
I got another honorable mention. Infamous Mob. I would have loved to work with them.
True. Okay.
Prodigy. I love Prodigy.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Just my beat
But
to me itself.
as far as a crew though, because it was just Prodigy and Havoc.
Well, no, they had
Noid.
Noid,
Yeah.
and
Right,
they had
yeah,
Twin
but-
Gambino.
Yeah.
Bars and hooks,
Yeah,
maybe.
Bars and Hooks, all them other dudes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just
I mean,
none of them
you know,
Godfather
because I
Part
love Prodigy and Havoc. I love them, but I don't know if I would have considered them a crew though.
Nah, they were definitely a crew.
No, I think they had.
They were
crew
definitely cool.
status.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right,
more or
I'm
less.
sorry. What's your honorable mention, my brother?
I'm gonna go boot camp.
That's a great one.
I'm gonna go boot camp. Yeah, I'm gonna go boot camp just because they had so many groups.
Dope MCs.
Dope MCs,
Yeah,
dope
yeah.
beats. They
Came out
changed
of
the
that.
game as well.
Yeah.
They had it locked for a minute, and
They did.
Yo, when you talk about just MCs all around, you know, Tech Steel,
Yeah.
you know, Rock and Ruck, you know, rest in peace, Sean Price,
Buckshot.
Buckshot, like you know,
That
What more can I say?
That first Black Moon album, Enter the Stage.
yeah,
Yo, criminally underrated classic hip hop album, in my opinion.
I remember going to Limelight just to hear Evil D spin.
Yo,
you know what I'm
there
saying?
you go,
in
bro.
the hip hop room.
Yo, Enter the Stage, like I said, one of the greatest hip hop albums that doesn't get enough shine, or it
Facts.
doesn't get talked about often enough as it should. Because, in my opinion, you go back to listen to that, and that is quintessential '90s hip hop.
And one of the other crews, I think one of the criminally underrated crews of all time is OGC.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yes,
that
sir.
album was dope as fuck.
Yeah,
word,
yo,
word.
Storm?
It was,
yeah,
it
the
was.
Storm.
Very
Yeah.
dope.
And
That
then
shit's
the second album was fire too, bro.
Yeah, bro. Yep. What about you?
Good
Any
selection.
honorable mentions there, Burnz?
Not that I can think of. Maybe G Unit.
Seen at Disney.
Uh,
I didn't want to crowd him. He was with his family, so I'm not gonna be like, you know, a fucking girly fan and try to get an autograph. But gave him the shout out, gave him the nod, and he gave the nod back. So shout out to him, yo. One of my favorite rappers.
no, absolutely a beast on the
in
mic,
terms
bro.
of lyrical wordplay.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to think of who else. G Unit was good.
Dipset.
Dipset. They were a good crew. They had success. All their
3-6
artists had
3-6.
moderate, at least, success. 3-6, another possible. Oh no, you know what? Who I was thinking actually?
Who?
No Limit.
Oh shit,
True.
that's a
No Limit
good
Yeah,
fucking
true
pick.
that,
right
true that.
there,
You know,
man.
you could have picked P's brain, learned probably anything from him. He seems like he's willing to teach anybody.
Yeah.
Although I would have
never heard of any money issues.
Yeah, I would have loved to
True
see
indeed.
more success from each individual member. Like, I remember thinking Silk the Shocker was dope as hell, Mystical as well, but just
But that's two platinum artists you just
I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gonna
no,
say,
absolutely.
But they,
Yeah,
they all
yeah, yeah.
they were all successful on
See
their
Murder,
own,
Platinum,
under No Limit.
True.
but
as a group,
they didn't really
platinum.
have any longevity though. They just had
I
that
think
one
their
little
issue was that they were
bubble.
putting out so many fucking records.
Yeah.
I think in 1 year they put
They
out
spread
60 or
themselves out too
70 albums.
Yeah.
So that's more than an album a week. You're literally competing with
Yeah, it's
yourself.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
I think that was their
I would
thing.
think more than No Limit is a group like Cash Money.
Well, I wouldn't fuck with Cash Money because of
Yeah.
when you hear about Birdman
Yeah,
raping on
yeah.
literally and figuratively.
Yo, he made $25 million last year, bro, man.
Yeah, and how much did his
Billy,
artist make?
Billy, with a B.
No, million.
No,
Billy,
he's not a
Billy.
billionaire.
No.
Yeah.
Is he?
Million. He
No,
made
no, but
25
the
million.
label made that much money, and then they split it between Drake and Lil Wayne and himself.
Whatever.
And I think Nick
Not much fucking Jigga made? 470.
470 mil.
Yeah, well, last year he did a couple big deals last year, and he sold, I believe, 75% of the
the champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ace
Like
Space.
Hennessy
That was
came
like
and
300
bought
or 400 million
50%. It was like
Right there.
50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That man got a mind for business.
Yeah, no doubt
Business
about it.
acumen.
Do y'all remember the Five Venom,
Who the Five Venoms?
the female group branch of the Wu-Tang?
No.
Yes, I do.
You remember that?
I remember them, yeah. Didn't they also do Cream or some shit?
They redid.
They
Cream, I
redid
believe?
Cream, yeah, I do
Really?
remember
I
them.
would
Yeah,
have
yeah.
got down with them.
Yeah.
That's
I would
tight.
have been the sixth Venom.
This guy.
Just because I want to be with all the hoes.
True.
Nah.
True.
You are a hoe.
That's okay. All right, so if that's everything, I guess that's it, right?
Yeah. Cruise. Rap Cruise.
Rap Cruise, that's it.
Wrap it
Yo.
up.
Cruise.
Another crew I would have liked to been down with. The Last Breath Entertainment Squad. Know what I'm saying? LBE.
Oh, their track
to
history.
death,
was
baby.
trash.
Word up.
They went
But
double wood.
We did have potential, though. I would say that. Know what I'm
That's
saying?
a potential outcome.
Yeah,
Word.
definitely, yeah.
Dope as
While you
rappers
speak
and
of Last
producers.
Breath, make sure you're following at Last Breath Entertainment. Make sure you're following at GHHD_podcast. Make sure you're following at Deadass_worldwide. Make sure you're following at The Black Vault with 2 C's.
Okay.
Make sure you're following at The Real_VSOP on Twitter. Make sure you're following at EFNR711. Shout out to Straight Fuego Studios in East studio time, somewhere to record a video, somewhere to record a podcast. Do not come here for the podcast. This is our home, but
I kill you.
if F don't say nothing, we don't know.
This is my house.
And make sure you're following at @callme_Joseph_. Make sure you go to YouTube, follow GAHHD podcast, like, comment, and subscribe. Share the pages. We just went live with episode 100 this morning, so go check that out. Go fuck with that. Share it with your significant other. Put your kids on. Put your mom on.
We're in the 3 digits, baby.
Yeah. This is episode 101. That's
101,
awesome.
baby.
Again, the first time all 4 of us are here in studio. That's
Good
true.
shit,
That's
man.
beautiful.
Good shit, my bro. Good shit, my bro.
May it not be the last.
Y'all got any shout outs as we sign off?
Shout out to us, man. Once again, man. We did it 101 times.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, shout out to y'all. Definitely.
You know,
That's
shout
big,
out
very
to,
big.
Shout out to the wife. Shout out to the kids. Shout out to this brother coming all the way from TPA.
Salute.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to you, sir, for being here once again.
Thank you, brother.
You know what I mean? Shout out to us, man. We did it, man.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Fact, though.
Absolutely. With that being said, let's get into the love song of the week. We're going to fade out with it. This is a remix that I didn't know existed. Shout out to YouTube, because YouTube has a bunch of fucking hidden gems and
A plethora.
and just shit you never heard. Blacc actually put me onto the Rainy Days remix on YouTube. This is a 112 remix of It's Over Now, and it features G-Dep and Shine. I never knew this existed till not too long ago, but I think it's super dope. Bad
Shout
Boy
out to
Forever.
Bad Boy.
112
Word up.
Forever, Shine. Shout out to Shine. Shout out to Belize. Shout out to G-Dep. Hold your head.
Yeah.
If you don't know the G-Dep story, go Google that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Sad story. You got to commend the man for, you know,
Yeah,
being
man.
a man of honesty and shit, but
Honor.
to be in
His shoes.
such a position to
bro.
give everything up. Sad story, but anyway, Brother
Shouts to
F
G-Dep,
got
man.
that
Hold your
tuned
head.
up. This is the M-Birds Love Song of the Week for episode 101, 112, featuring G-Dep and Shine. It's Over Now, the remix. Shout out to the ladies, the mothers and the wives.
Shout out to my
Sir.
Shout out to my babies, too.
Shout out to the daughters, the breath babies, the grandmas, the sisters, the aunties, daddies and the side pieces,
Hey,
strippers and the teachers. We love you.
teachers that be stripping, the strippers that be dressing up like teachers.
As always, chin up, chest out, carry yourself with honor, carry yourself with pride. This has been episode 101 of the Gahhd Cast. This is my music.
Gahhd Cast.
Niggas, bitches.
I always loved this video because they had the Concord on and they did their little group dances and shit. So we're gonna come up with a group dance for the podcast.
Word up.
This is not dancing, baby.
You're gonna elbow one of us. Game over. Shout out, game over.
Hold up.
Motherfucker.